Unit 2 of biology has the following lessons. The first one is biological diversity, second is chemistry of life, third is biochemistry and human biology, fourth lesson is about protein synthesis, and finally we will be learning about stem cells and tissue engineering in Unit 2. Lesson 1 of Unit 2 is biodiversity. Biodiversity or biological diversity is a term used to indicate various life forms on Earth. If you take in our planet, we have different life forms starting from microbes, different types of microbes, invertebrates, plants and animals. So it is a discipline where we learn about diverse life forms on Earth. And this diverse forms are a result of evolutionary changes which has taken place for billion, billions of years, and by ecological and cultural processes help us to sustain this life on Earth. Here in our planet, we told there are diverse life forms. The various life forms are diverse in aspects like variety in species level, variety at the genetic level, and variety at the ecosystem level. If you see variety of species, if you take in our planet, there are various species. Around 1.75 billion species have been identified in our planet. And if you see these species again, they are varying at their genetic level. So within a species, we can see genetic variation in each of the species. So they differ again at the genetic level. And the third aspect where the variation we can find is variation in the organisms based on where they survive, their habitat or their ecosystem. Biodiversity is the web of life. Here, because of the evolutionary process, we saw that there are these diverse living organisms are able to survive on this planet. And because of this diverse life forms, the food chain is being formed here. The food chain of at the lower level, the producers and the primary consumers which depend on the producers, and secondary consumers which depend on the primary consumers, and at the top level we have the tertiary consumers which depend on the secondary consumers. So this diversity forms the basis for the food chain, and we human beings are a integral part of the food chain. We saw what is biodiversity and in what way it is important for our survival on this planet. We are benefited from biodiversity in various aspects. One is we get economical benefits from the biodiverse environment. We have ecological support from biodiverse environment. We have developed cultural values and scientific values from our rich, healthy, biodiverse environment. To see in detail, if we see the economic benefits, we get direct benefits from the biodiversity like getting our food, fuel and fiber, and indirect benefits like from the from the products of the biodiversity, we are able to develop products like building materials, making shelters for our survival. And making products, we are earning money, that is having economic benefits. So here we get direct and indirect economic benefits from the biodiversity. The next importance of biodiversity is ecological. We get ecological support from this. It provides biodiversity provides us a healthy ecosystem, because of which we are able to survive on the planet. Ecological support like supplying of pure oxygen, water, climate regulation, water purification, nutrient cycling, and other processes like pollination. So all these processes help our existence on this planet. And also biodiversity gives us cultural values through our spirituality, aesthetic appreciations and expression identity. It all these cultural values what we have developed reflects our attachment to the biodiversity, and our recent and our current education also helps us to understand the importance of biodiversity and develop a sustainable way of living. Finally, we learning nature, we are able to develop scientific products. So here, understanding our nature, we are able to develop scientific values. So we are benefited from biodiversity in all these aspects. That is, we get economic benefits, we have ecological support from biodiversity, we are able to develop cultural values and scientific values. Yes, we are a part of this biodiversity and we are benefited in all the ways, and because of this rich biodiverse environment only, our species, human beings, are able to survive on this planet. However, due to natural disasters and high level of human interventions, there are biodiversity is facing a very serious challenges now. That is, we can see many species are disappearing. For example, 34,000 plant species and 52,000 animal species are facing extinction, and 20% of the known bird species have already disappeared, and 41% of the mammals are in decline, and 28% are under direct threat, and 48% of Earth's original forest are destroyed. So high level of human activities are creating greatest wave of extinctions since the natural disaster that wiped out dinosaurs 65,000 million years ago. So this is a very serious concern. If the biodiversity is destroyed, then our existence on the planet becomes a question mark. We will not be able to survive on our planet. So what are the major threats to biodiversity in the current scenario are: one is the climate change, the second is habitat loss, pollution, and introduction of invasive or exotic species, over-exploitation of the environment, and other potential threats. So climate changes, that is either increase in temperature, has affected changes in the seasons, raising of the sea level, and glacial retreats. So all these climate changes are major threat to the biodiversity, and over exploitation of the nature like deforestation and all the man-made interventions are destroy the habitat of various life forms, so bringing to the extinction of the different life forms. So this leads to habitat loss, leads to degradation of this biodiversity. And a major concern is about the pollution what we create in the environment. Major concern is about the pollution, that is water pollution, air pollution or land pollution. All these are a major threat to the life forms on earth. An introduction of exotic or invasive species to the natural environment has is causing a major threat to the native species in that ecosystem. They are outgrowing the natural species, and the natural species are getting extincted. So exotic species are also a major threat to the native species of the ecosystem. And overexploitation because of overpopulation, over harvesting of natural resources. They are actually they are reducing our that is having harvesting over harvesting of species and natural resources at a faster rate. So here we are exploiting the biodiversity at a high speed and destroying or degrading the environment. And other potential threats like epidemics and infectious diseases of wildlife are also a major adverse cost to the biodiversity.